Here you see me presenting the presentation that I open the sessions with, and as you can see it's very traditional lecture theatre type of space, and this doesn't really effectively use what Second Life is capable of. It's kind of going back to traditional teaching methods as well, but you know, there's a lot of theory which it's useful for the students to know. And this is still perhaps a way to get through some of this theory and get some of the ideas across. Things like role identity theory, social identity theory. There's also things like just about the body identity projects and these sorts of things. And also what happens to people within an environment like this. The fact that they might try identity tourism, they might try to test out possible selves because they have a flexibility within this space that isn't possible within the physical world, because we can't change all aspects of who we are in the physical world. So however, it's true of lecture rooms anyway, but even more true when you're teaching online, is that if you're doing too much talking, and I realise this is a poor example of that as well because it's just you listening to me, that people will start to switch off. It's what's called the lean back effect, or the sit back effect, and there's the lean forward effect. What you want to do, students do, is to engage, and the best way to do that is to get them discussing things. So I will talk for a few minutes, show them some of these ideas, and then try and get ideas from them. Now you can see from the video here that the students, when I do this, actually engage quite successfully. This isn't always the case. In fact, this particular group that I recorded are particularly effective at taking these discussions on board because they've spent a fair bit of time in Second Life. What we normally find, though, is that first of all, these are traditional age students, so fairly young, haven't necessarily done stuff like reflecting on identity. They haven't thought about who they are, why they are who they are, these sorts of things. And in Second Life particularly, if they've only just started within this environment, they haven't had the experiences and they don't have the skills and techniques at this stage to start developing a digital identity and start reflecting on it. And I think this is one of the themes that we was be coming back to on the workshop, is digital natives. The word's bandied around so much, but it really doesn't stand up to close scrutiny. The students may be gamers, but they're not reflecting on being gamers. They may have some of the skills to upload videos, but they don't necessarily apply those skills when it comes to being educated. And so, although we have supposedly net generation students, they're still unfamiliar with this environment. So there is nothing we can take for granted when it comes to teaching students, and there's nothing really that we can assume about their familiarity with these environments, or more importantly, a critical reflection on those environments that is really at the heart of what we would term digital literacy. Digital literacy isn't just being able to do it, it's being able to understand why you're doing it, and to be familiar enough with the techniques to reapply them in different contexts, particularly in our case, of course, applying them to their learning. So we try and engage the discussion. It's not always successful, but I think giving students the opportunity to feed back and ask further questions is essential in any kind of learning situation, even if you're in a lecture room with 100 kids or something. So so that then leads us on to the next step, which is the activity. How do we get the students to then engage more and come up with things they can write about their identity?